Hi guys, I'm Dr. Jason Granzo from Tri Health. I'm with Neil Jacobs. Neil, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Neil Jacobs. I am a natural healthcare consultant. I've worked in many different areas of health and wellness, starting from general nutrition centers back in the 90s. I was a senior store manager for 12 locations. I moved into bodybuilding, where I was a rep for a number of different top-of-the-line bodybuilding companies like Diametize and BPI. I also worked in natural healthcare with regards to natural health products, natural body care, Ayurvedic medicine. Lastly, I've worked in nutraceuticals with Dr. Jason, helping doctors with their patients get back to better health through nutrition. And right now I'm currently working just to kind of finish off my natural healthcare consultant and move into that area.
So, needless to say, you know your stuff. You're the guru. At least I use you for info. And today we're talking about health for men over 40, because that seems to be it's almost like a fixed point where whatever used to work doesn't seem to work so easily after 40, and then they're coming in and they're like, what can I do to, increase my motivation, because I don't have the time or the drive to exercise like I used to. I don't get the results as easily. I can't do what I used to be able to do. I don't look how I used to. So what are some areas that you find are helpful to maybe regain some of that, we can call it testosterone, and we know testosterone drops off with age. And a lot of people that I think they want to jump to that. The quick fix is like, oh, can I just take testosterone? I got shots. But I think we try to do something a little bit more of a natural way, because there's some controversy with the hormone treatment. But what would you say? If someone's coming to you and like, hey, you know what? How do you stay fit over 40?
Well, it's a great question. I would get this a lot. I would have people say, oh, it's so easy for you. And legitimately, it's not. I mean, at the end of the day, you just have to make the choice to want to do better. If it's getting up an hour extra early every day and getting up and going out for an hour walk, which I do, try and wear a pedometer. A lot of watches now will have a pedometer on it. You can do 10,000 steps. That's really a good start. A lot of times it's hard for people just to get motivated to get going, and just do baby steps. I find is just the best way. So getting an hour extra early, doing your 10,000 steps if you can throughout the day. Drinking lemon water is a great way to kind of get started, to get your body refreshed and regenerated. Cold showers are amazing. They totally rejuvenate the body. They shock the system to a better degree. And also just doing some simple basic exercise. You can go to like a park. You can go to your basement. You can do it in the backyard. You can do walking lunges. You can do standing squats. You can do push-ups. You can go to the park and do chin-ups. These are all things which will naturally help to boost testosterone. And you'll get great results. And if you keep continuously doing it, it just becomes almost like second nature. Automatically, your body adapts to it. So it's not even like hard anymore.
Yeah. So when you're kind of outlining like a change in mindset, because a lot of guys, they're just used to being like the weekend warrior. They used to hit the gym and it was sufficient. And then they were realizing, I'm not getting those gains, and I'm starting to gain in all the wrong areas. So as you're talking, I'm picturing like, this is not someone that in their 20s that they're used to doing that. But when you're in your 40s, now you're like, okay, it's not how I used to do it. I can't just assume my body just bounced back. And even if I start going to the gym 3 times a week, I can't lift the way I used to. I don't recover the same way. So what you're describing is a little bit more of a lifestyle change, like almost like a daily thing, where it's like you're introducing new elements of health, not necessarily the crash and bang theory that used to work for you when you were younger. Now it's sort of like everything I do throughout the day is geared towards maintaining my machine, making sure that I'm staying fit. And it actually helps kind of always keep the spotlight on, okay, I'm going to do things that are good for me. Like, I'm not going to go binge drink on the weekend because I'm getting up an hour early to do calisthenics. I'm not going to throw it all away on a Saturday or a Sunday night just because, I used to do that. So I think there's like a maturing process where men have to realize, okay, you know what? I'm not that 18-year-old. I'm not a 25-year-old. I'm not even a 35-year-old. But that doesn't mean that you can't be strong, that you can't look good. But I think the goal is maybe the same. Maybe you have to adjust your goals a little bit, but the methodology of how to get there, that is totally going to be reworked. And that's why I think supplements have a big role in that, because what you used to be able to get away with and maybe have a quick protein shake or a big protein meal after a workout, maybe now you gotta kind of fuel a little bit differently. You gotta go to not just the leaded fuel, a little bit unleaded and supreme. So what would you suggest in terms of supplements to kind of motivate and to stimulate that?
Well, that's a great question, Dr. Jason. I think that there's very simple and natural ways to boost testosterone. Very simple products you can take, like arginine is a vasodilator. It creates NO, which is nitric oxide, which helps to give you a little bit of extra push when you're working out or exercising. Triglycerin is an old-fashioned, back from like the early 80s and 90s, which was really popular. Kind of has lost a little bit, but still a great product to help increasing testosterone.
Mm-hmm.
DHEA is also another supplement you can take, which is also helpful in increasing testosterone levels. Fenugreek, which is also used in combination with different products to help natural testosterone boosting.
Right.
There's vitamin D, which is obviously what we get from the sun, and that's why I mentioned going out for walks in the morning, just to kind of capture that early morning sunrise to get like grounded and also get that vitamin D.
Mm-hmm.
Ashwagandha is a great product. D-aspartic acid, all these different products. I mean, I wouldn't suggest taking them all at once, but obviously talking with a health practitioner like Dr. Jason and kind of getting advice on which product to take. But any of those products would do extremely well for any patient over 40.
Those are all excellent options, and I think some people come in and they'll dabble with a few different things. And I think the goal is not to try to overdo anything, because a lot of people, they get the idea of like, okay, I'm just going to take a pre-workout, and it's just like chock full of caffeine and sugar.
Absolutely.
And maybe like those have a purpose, but maybe not jump right into that. Maybe even starting with the branched chains, what's your feeling about like a creatine? Because a lot of people, even young kids, are asking me about that.
Creatine's a fantastic product. It's not actually, it's naturally found in meat and all red meats and also salmon. It was actually used by the Russians back in like the 1950s to help powerlifters get over certain plateaus. It became more mainstream back in like the 70s and 80s with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Lou Ferrigno. It's a product that just helps to help volumize the muscle, so it just helps to create more buoyancy. It does give you a little bit of a boost. I wouldn't recommend taking it in the teenage years, because obviously they're producing enough creatine as it is already. So taking supplemental form is going to stop the body from producing it. And at the end of the day, it's not really necessary, because we're already getting like large amounts of testosterone flowing through the body. Mm-hmm. So for older people, like older males, I should say, not older people, but older males, like in their 40s, 50s, is a great supplement to add just into your workouts, into your supplement regime, just to get that extra boost.
Sure.
Fantastic. And it just make sure when you're doing it, you're drinking a lot of water to help with that. Obviously help with the flushing the kidneys and all that.
Yeah. Now, in terms of style of working out, I mean, a lot of people, they want to go back to like the bodybuilding and then lifting heavy weights. In your opinion, what would you suggest as a way to kind of get back into going to the gym or working out at home? Would you suggest changing things up, doing things in a different way, assuming their goal is to kind of start to get back into shape?
Right.
What would you suggest? Because I feel like a lot of people, they want to get back to what they used to do, and they run the risk of injury because they want to lift. It's like, I bench 305. Yeah, but 15 years ago, that's not today. So where would you get them started?
Well, it's a great question again. Especially now with the lockdown kind of happening and gyms are closed. I loved going to the gym. I would go 5-7 days a week, and was always getting up at like 4 in the morning or 5 in the morning, going to the gym early as possible, and obviously on an empty stomach, because that's when you get the best results in terms of weight loss, because you're burning mostly body fat for fuel. But if a person's really trying to get back into it and they just haven't gone to the gym in a long time, or they're just trying, but they were maybe like gym rats in the past, they were able to lift like 300 pounds, like you say, you can't really go back and expect to do the same results. You're going to get like injuries in that manner. So starting off slow, basically if you're working out at home, invest into yourself and go get stuff off Amazon. Like Amazon has got a great selection of different workout products. You can get bands are fantastic. Mm-hmm. You can get certain equipments if you can actually get them. But just start off with a small little home gym. If you can't, if you have the space, then start with push-ups. Try and do a succession of start if you can't. Can you do 10? Do 10, but do it for 5 times. That's 100. And then try to go up. So going from 10 to 15 to 20 to 25. Next thing you know, you're going to be doing 30 push-ups in one set. And if you do that, your strength is going to be a lot better, and you're going to have less chance for injury. abdominal strength, lower back strength. Our core has become a little bit more weaker now because a lot of people are sedentary, especially now. So they're not doing anything.
Yeah.
Or they're not being as active, and they're having back problems or taking pills to kind of ease the pain. When you can really just just do therapeutic, massage, or you can do some core exercise to help with strengthening the lower area. So I would recommend always doing the basics, like I mentioned before, doing standing squats. If you can, grab some weights. If you don't have weights, grab some cans. Anything but some water bags, anything like that, it'll actually give you a great workout. The bands are probably the best. So squats, you can do push-ups, you can do, if you have a bar, you can do reverse pull-ups for the back, you can do abdominals, and you can do lower back, standing calf raises. All these things are very simple, and they give you a great workout if you really put the effort in. And I'd recommend always talking to a health practitioner just before you kind of start anything to kind of get your blood levels checked and just to see where you are to start off with. And that way we can get a better idea of where to go.
So in terms of recovery, so even now that we're kind of getting back into doing some daily exercises and maybe even using some equipment, inevitably you're going to feel some aches and pains. Whether these are old injuries or, pushing yourself a little bit too hard. What would you suggest to someone in terms of supplements regarding recovery to either, get over soreness, reduce the buildup of lactic acid, feel, reduce risk of injury as well? Is there anything that you would recommend?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you already mentioned BCAAs, which are great. They're basically building blocks to help with recovery. L-glutamine is another great one you can also take as well. It's great for recovery of injury or muscle repair. You have whey protein. There's different kinds of whey. There's casein, there's isolate, there's a blend of proteins. You really have to find out which one's best for you and what works best with your body, because sometimes people get a little bit of a reaction with some different proteins. Isolates usually are the ones that people favor the most. And ashwagandha is a good one for help with any kind of, because any kind of workout is the stress of the body. So you want to kind of help that body de-stress. So I think ashwagandha is a great product to add into your recovery as well.
I also like maybe some MSM and glucosamine just for joint support, just to kind of reduce any kind of joint flaring up and tendon irritation.
Absolutely.
And how important is sleep in terms of the recovery?
Sleep is probably the one thing that a lot of people don't really regard as important, but it's actually very important. It helps with recovery. You're going to feel better the next day. You're going to help with your mindset. You're not going to be, your concentration is going to be better. You should try and strive for at least 6 to 8 hours, at least a night. And I recommend highly was not using, your electronic equipment at night, not scrolling through pages and this, because the blue light actually stops your body from allowing melatonin to start to help with your body getting ready for relaxation. Having a nice darkened room, make sure you have the blackout curtains. Make sure the room's cool as well, because it helps with your body just to relax a little bit. If it's too hot, you're not gonna be able to sleep. So sleep is 100% important with recovery for anything as well.
So one thing that we really encourage is a good relationship between the naturopath and your medical doctor and other practitioners. And one thing that people always ask about is testing. I think you had mentioned earlier, getting your levels checked. What kind of levels do you think we should be measuring either before or during, getting back into fitness?
Well, that's a great question. Your CRP is a good one to get checked. Your testosterone, because a lot of men over 40, their testosterone tends to drop, and that's where we come into talking about supplemental forms of testosterone, which actually stops your body from making its own source. So getting your testosterone levels checked. A lot of times people don't understand why they're so tired, lethargic men mostly. They just kind of they're just feeling sluggish. They have no they have no
drive.
No drive to do anything as well, because their testosterone is actually really low.
Yeah.
And you'd actually be surprised how much of a necessity your body needs testosterone to have with daily activities. So
I like the idea you were mentioning, doing standing squats, because squats are a good way to actually boost your own natural testosterone production and growth hormone. Because anytime you're doing any kind of heavy weight bearing with larger muscle groups, it's actually it stimulates the production internally. So, and because most of us are very sedentary, that we're not getting any of that stimulation. And of course, it's going to have a higher drop off, a faster rate of drop off.
Absolutely.
So that's a good way to bring it back.
Absolutely. And it's a simple way of just like gaining your body. It's a great workout. If you do like, even just try it, just to start off with, try 3 sets of like 10 to 15. I guarantee your legs are going to burn the next day. You're going to feel it the next day. You're going to feel it in your glutes. You're going to feel it in your hamstrings, your quadriceps, your calves a little bit. You're going to feel your lower backs. You're going to have to keep your core tight. And it's a great, if you do it in a good pace, you get a good cardio workout as well.
Sure. Actually, that is another thing I wanted to ask about. What relationship or how much cardio should we be kind of looking at? Is that something that should be daily? Is that just something that could be a couple times a week? Do you have a preference that you like? Because a lot of people would be like, yeah, I'll go on the elliptical for like 45 minutes. To me, that sounds like a long time. I mean, unless you're like really trying to just burn calories, I'd almost prefer you split that up with like a little bit of maybe 20 minutes on the machine and then maybe spend some 20, 30 minutes, doing some free weights.
Absolutely. I think that a lot of people, they focus on like if they need to lose weight, they go, okay, I got to do an hour, 2 hours of cardio. And you're just pushing your body into a state where it's not going to recover as quickly or as well as it should. Doing 20 minutes, any kind of exercise that's good for 20 minutes is fantastic for the body, especially if you've been sedentary for a long period of time. It depends on like the term of like what you're doing for regards to the working out. If you're competing or if you're doing some sort of like, fitness, show or something like this, that's where people like tend to go a little bit longer because they're doing a little more of a competitive nature. But if you're just basically trying to get fit, 20 minutes of like a good steady state cardiovascular, like it would be a treadmill, would be elliptical, stationary bike. I actually recommend doing elliptical because you're using a lot of different body parts, right? You're doing your arms, you're doing your legs, and your lower back, your glutes. Whereas treadmill, it's easy just to kind of get laxatives and just be like, just kind of like walking normally. So elliptical I find is a good calorie burner and also stationary bike. But yeah, those are the two I'd recommend.
And what would you say about diet?
Well, diet it's 90, I'd say 80 to 90% of the results.
Which is weird because we spend so much time talking about how they like get motivated and start working out, but you can spend all that physical effort, but if your eating habits are sabotaging it, then you're just throwing it away.
Absolutely. Like how many times, like I used to personal train as well back in the day, and how many times would train somebody and then I would walk out the door and they'd be at Tim Hortons getting a donut, and I'm like, why are you doing this? Like you have to have good nutrition. It's really the results that are guaranteed. You're going to have great results. You're going to feel better and you're going to look better. It's just 85 to 90% of your results come from nutrition. So you should be, I love Mediterranean salads, like the Greek salads with like, basically not the lettuce, but just the chopped vegetables. A little bit of like, sun-dried tomatoes and like that, and a little bit of Greek dressing on there. It's fantastic. It's Mediterranean. It's very healthy. It's heart healthy. It's antioxidants. Like, and then you can have like some good, nice, like grilled chicken breast. Some salmon. I mean, fantastic. And like water is essential. We should again drink that all the time. Try and avoid, the soda pops or and coffee. Coffee is a great product. I'm not saying anything's wrong with it. Just I think that people are so used to drinking so much of it.
Yeah, it's a meal replacement for a lot of people.
Well, I mean, if you see some of those people that are drinking like those mocha frappuccinos, it's like basically carbs and sugar and fat, and it's it's really not healthy. So I mean, limiting the amount of coffee you drink, or having like a good quality coffee that maybe has like a mushroom blend in it, which is really helpful with that, would bring down the acidic level of coffee as well. Those are the things I would recommend.
Yeah, as you're speaking, I'm picturing people. And men that are like, as you said, you train them and they go off to drive through, and that speaks to like just the concept of discipline. And I think maybe once you hit 40 or reach a point where you're not where you physically want to be, you kind of have to think about what have I decided not to do, and what am I choosing, whether consciously or subconsciously? How am I undermining what I want? And I mean, it's almost like you got to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, okay, so I want to be fit. I don't like how I look. I don't feel good. But what did I have for lunch today? Oh, I went through the drive-through. So I'm like, okay. I'm tired in the evening, but maybe I'm going to bed late. And then I'm tired in the morning because I went to bed late. and now I don't have energy in the morning and I don't feel like doing it. So at what point, like, do you just like you have to kind of say like, okay, do I really want it? And I think there is an aspect of like, you have to choose to adopt this lifestyle because it's not an easy thing. It's not like, hey, you know what, after 3 weeks of doing it, I'm not where I'm at. So I'm frustrated. I don't want to keep doing it. Because it's a slippery slope where if you stop caring and you stop trying to do something, your body's not forgiving.
No.
After 40, you're like, things don't bounce back. Things just hit the ground and they dead cat. So I think discipline and having a mindset like, okay, you know what, it'll take me 6 months, but I'm committed to it. I want to do it. And cutting out areas that are sabotaging, where it's like, okay, going out for drinks. Well, maybe I don't drink. You know, I just have the social aspect. Maybe I have a new group of friends. I mean, it's easier said than done, but sometimes you have to actually like say like, okay, you know what? Stop buying junk food. Stop. Maybe, and a lot of times I put people on a diet and they're like, okay, I'm never going to have this. I'm never going to, like, never is a very strong word. I'm like, how about if you just have it like once a month? How about if you just have it like on a special occasion? Because then there's no guilt because it's like, hey, you know what? I've been good all week, for example. And then if you have like fries, if you have a burger, no big deal. If you worked hard all week and you've eaten healthy and you've meal prepped and all that stuff and you've taken your supplements and you did the effort, you've earned a dessert because it's not going to undermine all that good work. If anything, it's going to quench that little craving. And then it's like, okay, you know what? I think the best example for me is like, there was a time when I used to like a double-double. 2 cream, 2 sugar.
Yeah.
And it was delicious. When I first had it, someone gave it to me. I never used to even drink coffee. And then I started having it and noticing, oh my gosh, I'm having 2 a day. And I'm like, oh, what's going on? Then I cut it out. And then like, I think 6 months later, someone brought and they're like, oh, don't you drink these? I'm like, I used to. And I tasted it and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like liquid sugar.
Yeah.
I'm like, what was I doing? So you almost have to like allow the body to catch up to these healthy changes and a rebalancing, if you will. Because when you're not healthy, if you're on the other side of the tracks, I find that people crave what makes things worse.
Absolutely.
But when you make you step over the line, when you have enough momentum and you start feeling good, those unhealthy things, you don't have the same desire or it doesn't have the same experience because your body's dissociated from that. It's like, I'm doing all this good stuff. I'm feeling good. Like, being healthy, eating healthy, it is real. It's not like, you know what, I could take it or leave it. No, it's real. The problem is maintaining it and wanting it bad enough that if you adopt it. So, I mean, what would you tell someone that's on the fence? Like, I don't know. How do I commit to it? Is it worth it?
That's a great question. And I was thinking about this as you were talking. It really does, no one's going to do it for you except for yourself. So if you don't do it now, you're never going to get into it. And it really just takes small steps. Everything I'm talking about now, it seems probably like a lot to some people, and maybe it is. But that's why I always say start with small little steps. You know, getting up an hour extra early, going for that walk. Maybe that's all you can do for now. That's great. You know, stretch. You know, prepare your meals, like you said. Preparing your meals like a week in advance. Like I do that on Sundays. I prepare all my food. You know, and I just put it into Tupperware, and then I'm ready to go. I just walk up there, grab my Tupperware, it's good. Instead of like not preparing, and then you're stuck going, well, what am I going to eat? So you go to that, you know, Tim Hortons, or you go to that hot dog vendor outside and grab something, and that's where you fall through the cracks. So making the small changes it's very simple. You just have to do one every day. It's not that hard. It really makes a difference long term. I do. I'm not sure we're going to talk about this, but like intermittent fasting is a big thing now. I do 24-hour fasts, sometimes 3 times a week. And a lot of people are like, oh my God, that's crazy. No, it's not actually. It gives your digestive system a rest. Mm-hmm. And when you actually fast for that long, it actually helps to clear out debris out of the body. And when you eat that first meal, your body produces a jump in testosterone or actually growth hormone. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, these are little things that you can do to add in to make it a little bit easier for you and just help you get started onto a better track of healthy lifestyle or healthy eating or just feeling better. It's just the small little things you have to do just to make a difference. Don't, procrastinate like, oh, it's too hard. No, it's not. It's really not that hard at all. It's just making the choice to do it is really my personal view on it. And I when people say, "Oh, it's easy for you," no, it's not. I don't really enjoy getting up before in the morning, but I do it because I know it's good for me. I don't really enjoy taking cold showers, but I know it's good for me.
Well, I don't know if we talked about specific about the cold showers. What is it like? I mean, it's amazing for immune stimulation, lymphatic movement. What do you feel like? I'm sure that it's invigorating.
I just did a workout today in my home, and we have a sauna in the basement. So I did 20 minutes of the sauna because it was also very therapeutic. And then afterwards, I was drenched in sweat and just like I just needed to jump in the shower. So I took a cold shower and I just instantly felt amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Like the vasodilation, the increase of blood flow to the head, like it was just instantaneous. I came out feeling fantastic. I mean, obviously a lot of people don't have saunas or like that, but cold showers are easy.
Yeah.
And they're just very therapeutic. You know, they help with supposedly there's a study that helps with lowering, they help with body fat loss.
Sure. Yeah.
And also help with lowering blood pressure. So, I mean, these are things that you can incorporate. You don't have to stay in for 20 minutes in the cold shower. Just do hot and then do cold for 10 seconds, count it down 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. If you can't do that for that long, just do 5 seconds, and these are great little small things that help with anybody that wants to get back in better shape.
Yeah, that's amazing. Neil, thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure.
Is there anything else? Any parting thoughts? I mean, everything you offered was just insanely important and useful.
Because of my background and what I've done, and where I've different areas of health and wellness, I really encourage anybody to just give it a shot. I mean, at the end of the day, you have nothing to lose. Big things come from small beginnings, and it's really where you start and where you end. So give it a shot. Try these little tidbits of information, these pearls, as they say,
mm-hmm.
of information to help you just to get back in better health. It's simple. I've done it, and it's going to make you feel 1,000 times better. And always talk to your doctor, Dr. Jason, about anything before you start, just to make sure you're okay to go. And that's all. Yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you. And hope you guys enjoyed this, and we'll look forward to speaking to you in the future. Okay? Take care, guys.
How was that?
It was amazing.